Hello, I'm Brett Knowles from PM Squared Consulting. This vignette takes you through the core concepts that you need in preparation for the November 14th CBO leadership meeting. I'll be sharing with you some best practices that we've learned through 25 years of working in the performance measurement space, both through our research and our client work, but highly leveraged off of the work you have already done at CBO. To present the concepts, I'm going to be telling you the story through the eyes of Southwest Airlines, which is very similar to WestJet. The overall concept is we want to build a broader model of performance, not just financial, but what do our customers want, what are our internal processes, and what are we doing to develop the organization. We're going to build this into a dashboard framework where our financial objectives are the topmost that we need to work on. To achieve those, we need to make our customers happy. To have the right customer satisfaction levels, we better build the right internal processes, and therefore to support that, we need the right enablers, the culture, competencies, and enabling structures. In the Southwest case, their strategy is fairly straightforward. They want to have more customers on fewer planes. So as a dashboard framework, we draw the model like this. We believe that if you have more passengers, that will lead to better profitability, or if we had fewer planes, or ideally, both of those things. If we take a look at the customers, their target customers want two core things: on-time flights and low ticket prices. So our model continues to show that if we have on-time flights, that will lead to more passengers or lower ticket price. Now, ideally, we'd like to optimize against all three of these objectives. The problem is they're somewhat conflicting. How are we going to get there? Well, in their case, they focused on fast turnaround time on the ground. If we can flip the planes faster, it means that we can operate with fewer planes because we're getting better capacity out of the existing planes, which allows us to reduce our operating costs, which we can then reflect in either lower ticket price or higher margins. It also means operationally, if we land behind schedule, there's a better chance we can flip it and get it back up in the air on time to attract more passengers. How do we make that fast turnaround time happen? Well, we're going to educate and compensate people for process redesign with a bias towards cycle time reduction to get the fast turnaround time, etc. Now, this is the first part of a dashboard framework. The second part is we have to prioritize these objectives. If this is 100% of our strategy, how do we allocate that 100% across these objectives? To begin with, we had a 50% weighting on process redesign while we educated people on how this is done. In year 2, the weighting moved up, so we throttled down to 15%, and the weighting, the 50%, moved up to some operational benefits from the training, more on-time flights, and faster turnaround time. Eventually, that turned into financial results in year 5. This is the dashboard framework that we'll be working on, in your case, for November 14th. Now, we have to understand that that overall framework we're building is at the corporate level. As we cascade that down to different departments, each department is going to have its own strategy map, which will describe a service level agreement between the corporate level and its objectives and what each department needs to do to contribute to that overall strategic objectives. This, again, becomes a service level agreement that allows you to understand how your departments need to meet those obligations. Eventually, we're going to attach key process indicators that already exist inside a CBO to each of those strategic objectives so that we can begin to build an overall dashboard that shows how the organization is performing against those objectives and strategic priorities. Later on, we'll be able to take that strategy map and list those objectives down the left side of a spreadsheet and across the top your core processes, and begin to rate and rank how well those processes are supporting the strategic objectives. In this way, we have sort of the next level drill down. In fact, we can take any one of those and begin building that drill down so management can begin to understand what are the processes and projects that need to work in order to achieve those strategic objectives. So in your case, we've taken your existing roadmaps, the BCG benchmark data, your existing performance metrics, and tried to cobble together a straw model. But understand this is just the beginning, and in Monday's meeting, we're going to work on this to make it better. Here's how I'd tell the story if it was to a new employee. Overall, our objective at CBO is to achieve our financial objectives. To do that, we have to make our internal and external customers happy. To make those internal, external customers happy, we need the right internal processes, both to run the business and to change the business. And underpinning that are the foundational elements. On the financial perspective, our topmost goal is to achieve and optimize all of our stakeholder interests. To do that, there are three things we need to do. On the financial side, we need to, drive down our costs and drive that cost efficiency. Secondly, we need to accelerate incremental revenue. The third thing we need to do to meet stakeholder interest is actually a customer need as well, and that is we need to enhance the experience that our customers have. And if we do that, that will not only underpin meeting stakeholder interests, but it will also support driving that customer efficiency and accelerating incremental revenue. So, how are we going to enhance that customer experience? Well, again, there's three things we need to do. Thing one is we need to be easy to do business with. Thing two is we have to ensure that balanced risk tone. And by the way, if we ensure that balanced risk tone, that's also going to help support meeting those stakeholder interests. We also have to deliver that end-to-end efficiency. And that's something that both our customers want and we need to strive for internally. If we drive that end-to-end efficiency, that will support enhancing the customer experience as well as underpinning that cost drive that we have, support both the enhanced balanced risk tone and be easy to do business with. So delivering end-to-end efficiency requires us to reduce our cycle time, increase productivity, and enhance quality. Now, underpinning all of this is aspects around enabling customer-centric redesign that will inform what parts of the process we need to reduce, how to increase our productivity, and what quality looks like in the eyes of our customer. Underpinning this are the objectives of safety and soundness, investing in our employee engagement and capabilities, and finally, enhancing this end-to-end transparency. So this is the dashboard framework, and we'll be working on making this correct on the 14th. This is just a starting point. On the handout, we have definitions for you around each of the strategic objectives that you can look at your leisure or during the meeting on the 14th. Eventually, this is going to give us some sort of view of our overall performance in a dashboard framework that will allow you and your stakeholders to see how you're performing. This slide is purposely fuzzy. This is not your data. This is not even indicative of the sorts of measures you'll have, but you can understand through the haze the sort of things we're going to be looking for. In your case, we may be taking a look at drill downs by department or even what benchmarks are available to us to see how we're doing compared to others. And again, this will get fleshed out over the course of the next few weeks. There should be a capability of some sort of drill down in the fullness of time where we can take an overall objective at the CBO level and understand how it drills down by department. Now, understand this is just illustrative, this slide, that each area, though, will have your own measures, and we'll be working with your team to determine what those measures are. In fact, we'll make some recommendations to you on what best practices would look like for each of your areas. It's important to note that we will not be creating new measures. These are all things which currently exist. Your inventory of measures currently in CBO exceed 5,000. There's more than enough for us to use. In terms of the roll-up, there's a bunch of mathematics we'll take you through later, whether they're index groupings, weighted averages, formulas, or even just performance indicators. Again, these are the details we'll be working through on the 14th and beyond. So this is a preparation that you need. Hopefully you're well armed, and we'll see you on Monday. Thank you for your time.